Peace is being rebranded as a boarding room, and Iran is on a 10-day clock. I'll discuss these issues with fellow journalists from different corners of the world. I'm Jarosław Włodarczyk. Welcome to Press Talks.
Waiel Awwad, senior international journalist, New Delhi, India. Award-winning international correspondent based in South Asia since 1979, reporting from conflict zones and analyzing global power dynamics. President of the International Association of Press Clubs. Muganwa Gonza, independent Rwanda journalist and current affairs analyst, media consultant, press freedom advocate, and economist based in Rwanda. Journalist with 20 years experience covering East Africa and the Great Lakes region of Africa. Former executive secretary of Rwanda Journalists Association. Jarosław Gugała, journalist, Polsat Television. Award-winning Polish TV journalist and foreign affairs commentator. News anchor and interviewer with 30+ years experience. Former diplomat.
The Board of Peace is being sold as a faster and stronger alternative to all diplomacy. And the critics are saying that it looks more like a pay-to-play power. Let's see the headlines.
The vague goals of Trump's Board of Peace. Trump's Board of Peace is a distraction from the real work in Gaza. Donald Trump's Board of Peace looks like a privatized UN with one shareholder, the US president. Trump's Board of Peace is an imperial court completely unlike what was proposed.
Good to see you all. Thank you for joining. Jarosław, as a former diplomat, when you see the headline that Board of Peace oversee the UN, United Nations, do you really think that it's a will to fix the organization, or it's just Washington announcing softly a bankruptcy of United Nations?
The principle is that we have the United Nations organization, and I think that there is no need to multiply political entities beyond measure. So I'm against such kind of ideas because it is impossible to create something new that will replace the big world organization. And I think that the United States that participated from the very beginning in the creation and foundation of the organization of United Nations organization, with very good, very strong position, the privilege of vote power between many others. I think it is something very dangerous to be today the big distractor, the big enemy of the system of the United Nations. I don't understand it. I think that maybe this is an business initiative of Donald Trump, and I don't understand also the lifetime presidency for Donald Trump or for his family. This is something completely unacceptable in our civilization.
And Jarosław said business proposition or business project, according to Board of Peace. And Muganwa, from Kigali perspective or wider African context, what do you think about it? Is it a hope for the more efficiency, or it's rather a threat that new neo-colonialism dynamics will return?
Number one, we have to appreciate President Trump for using the power of the U.S. presidency to force a ceasefire in Gaza and in any other areas where he's trying to bring peace. He's different from Joe Biden, who did not use the power that the U.S. presidency wields. But your question, yes, it's a big threat. Personalizing a big office like the United States presidency, personalizing international diplomacy, and calling it Trump with, as they said, with the life presidency, and the intentions, the fact that it's obviously everything that Trump does look like there is intent to make money for himself, for his family, for his friends, and so on. There is, of course, a fear that the element of colonialism is there. We saw what Marco Rubio's speech was at the Munich Security Conference, even where Trump has intervened in solving the conflict in this, that Rwanda is involved in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. You can see there are elements of trying to look for resources more than trying to solve underlying problems. I think the board of peace can only be effective if it is seen as universal, as reflecting values that are shared by many people, but also trying to solve conflicts, looking at underlying causes. If it is the Palestinian question in Gaza, it should be genuine, not just forcing a ceasefire between the Hamas and the Israelis, but also looking at the root causes, putting in the interests of other countries, not just those who are willing to cheer or appease President Trump and his staff.
And Jarosław, you feel more European dilemma to stay out and feel pressure all the time, or to be inside but legitimize this private model of diplomacy. And do you think this is the strategic choice for Europe for years now?
We Europeans, we have many different points of view. The world is completely different, and the situation is different when you are in Warsaw, and completely different when you are in Paris or in Spain or even in Italy. Because we are neighbor of Ukraine and we are endangered also. So our perspective is to maintain the international guarantee for Poland and for east part of NATO. And this guarantee is the European Union membership and also the membership of NATO. And when we have a big sign of interrogation over NATO in this moment, so our position is very weak and we are afraid.
Yes, but anyway, we should, Jarosław, as Europeans, look from outside or join it? Yes or no?
I think that we can observe this initiative, but I don't think that it can be something serious. We have the United Nations organization, the big organization with almost 200 states and nations being members of this organization. And this is the right place to organize the initiatives of peace in every point of the globe. This is something which is we don't need the Board of Peace formed by President of the United States in this moment, because we have big organization which is able to realize the same goal.
I understand it, but it didn't somehow. So this is the point to Donald Trump Board of Peace. But closing that part, I want to ask Waiel about Gaza again. And do you think that this declared support, billions of dollars, can, in the phase two, realistically go to people and support Palestinians, or it's what we started from is just a theater and actually real help will not come to the Palestinians?
Well, nothing will reach to the Palestinian, by the way. If they wanted to reach, let the convoy of humanitarian aid reach. You need a minimum of 1,000 convoy a day. They're not getting even 150 convoys. You have not even opened the border to allow the humanitarian aids to get into Gaza. What is the point? Absolutely, I agree with my colleagues when he said this is surpassing the UN, and it is true, because the United States does not believe in the UN anymore and does not believe that the UN body can do. And you also remember, it was only the United States who vetoes more than hundreds of resolutions when it comes to Israel occupation and annexation of the Palestinian territories. What's happening actually on the ground is that even the ministers from Israel, Smotrich or Ben-Gvir, saying it openly, we are going to annex the West Bank. We are not going to allow any Palestinian state. We are going to expel the Palestinian out of Gaza and out of West Bank. Then what do you expect? What is the American president understand is that he understands nothing of history. He is so ignorant, does not believe that there is a human issue. It's not only a humanitarian crisis, by the way, in Palestine. It's a political, it's a historical, it's a religious, it has all the angle. And Gaza is part of the West Bank and part of the Palestine, which is now occupied by Israel. Finally, if we wanted to see the Palestinian question, we cannot see Gaza in isolation of the West Bank, because 70% of the people of Gaza, actually, they are survivors of other genocide committed in the rest of Palestine, and they were pushed to this angle and they lived in Gaza. So if you don't address the issue of the Palestinian issue, there is no peace in this region. You can't have a piecemeal to create peace in West Asia or Middle East.
Yeah, we will continue to talk about the Board of Peace, but we move a little bit to Iran, because there are threats and 10 days ultimatum about signing a deal or strikes. Let's see the headlines.
Trump launches his Board of Peace as US-Iran tensions escalate. Forget the Board of Peace. Trump may be closer than thought to attacking Iran. With the Golden Gaul and a threat to Iran, Trump launches his Board of Peace. Trump says world has 10 days to see if Iran agrees deal or bad things happen.
Jarosław, 10 days to deal or the strike. And do you think such diplomacy is taking us closer to the deal or to the escalation?
This is not the diplomacy. This is a brutal threat. So in diplomacy, you talk, you treat to organize, to look for consensus. And this is just a military movement and a threat against a big country in very complicated situation, very divided, and in very difficult social and political moment. So the potential invasion, I don't know, air strike of American troops against Iran, this is not the solution of the situation. This is maybe the beginning of a real big war in all the region. So I think that this policy is too brutal and too stupid, too ignorant, and I don't know who can be winner in this situation. I don't see winners. We all will be victims of this conflict.
Okay, and Muganwa, I want to ask you that there was an expression used, Shylock diplomacy, related to William Shakespeare, and suggesting demanding a pound of flesh in exchange for peace. And in today's world, those smaller countries can feel like negotiating with the gun to the head.
It's not just Shylock diplomacy, it's also gunboat diplomacy that we used to have in the colonial era. I think the biggest challenge with the smaller countries is that they are not acting unified, they are not in solidarity. Most of them are watching, waiting for the consequences of if there is an attack on Iran. So the big powers are exploiting the degrading of international systems, of the rule-based order, to exercise their power over smaller countries, invade them. But at the end of the day, it has been shown in the past, it's not sustainable. You can impose your will on a country. Iran is not necessarily a small country. It is relatively big. It may not be as powerful as the US, but has a very big population. So there can always be consequences on the other countries attacking. As Yasrov said, this is uncalled for. It does not make sense. And in the negotiations, both sides must be offering something. Expecting Iran to be the one to offer something, but the other side, Israel and the United States, not offering anything, is ridiculous. And I think it's a lesson to other countries. Maybe I think the countries may think of also arming themselves, not to wait to be attacked when they are in weak positions, which could make the world much more dangerous.
And while Tehran is rather silent and protests are still on the street, and do you think that Iranian regime can truly accept Donald Trump's questions and terms on the stopping the nuclear program and ballistic missiles?
Well, I think it is not the nuclear program. It is the United States is after, by the way, after the hijacking of the president of Venezuela and his wife and putting their hand on the crude oil of Venezuela, which is needing the technology that Iranian having. It is another lust for power is the oil in Iran, which is America after, and they wanted the whole of the oil of Iran and gas to be sold in the American dollars, and also dismantling the Iranian ballistic missile program and get rid of all the scientists that Iran is having. So that is the American main plan. There is no plan actually. If the American president, you remember, after the 8 days attack on Iran with Israel, he immediately said, we totally destroyed the Iranian nuclear program. There is nothing left. So if there is nothing left, then why you are going again? The piling of this arm actually in the region, it's nothing to do with the nuclear at all. Because once a war is broke in this region, imagine what will happen in Middle East. Most of the American military bases in the Arab and the Gulf country will be on fire, because the Iranians have threatened that any American ship takes place from any of these bases, it will be a legitimate target. And if that has happened, then you will see that most of the Gulf country will be burned. And the Iranian will block the Strait of Hormuz, where the American will be very happy to see that the Asian country, which will relay 60% of their supply comes from this region, and the global trade and oil trade from this part of the world will be disrupted. These countries will suffer a lot, including India, China, South Korea, Japan, who are depending on the oil from the Strait of Hormuz. So therefore, and the American having more than one objective in this region. A, that President Trump fall to the trap of Prime Minister Netanyahu to go for a full-fledged war against Iran. B, it is the American putting pressure on the Russian and the Chinese that the American will have a total control of all the global passage, whether it is the Strait of Hormuz, whether it is Bab el-Mandeb, Red Sea, Mediterranean Sea, whether it is Panama, whether it is a Strait of Taiwan. It's all showing that the United States, make America great again, is the policy of the President Trump, bullying the friends and the foes. So anything can go in this region. It will be a full-fledged war, and you may be able to start it, but God knows when it will stop and how it will stop.
We are nearing the end of the program, so I will ask you 3 quick questions, and I expect 3 quick answers. And I will start from Muganwa. Do you think that the 90% probability of the attack, as intelligence are saying now, without international mandate, will make a world order?
It has happened before for the United States to attack various countries without an international mandate. Even without a mandate from the United States Congress, even though there are some steps by some congressmen to introduce a resolution. So the international order is now dependent on who is powerful. they don't follow the law, and that means other countries may also have to arm, because if the global oil trade is disrupted, big countries like India and China and Japan will have to think going forward how their economies cannot be suffocated by the United States, and that could disrupt very much the non-international order. But of course, people us in the global south may say the global order as it has not been very beneficial to us. Maybe anything that disrupts it could help the global south also achieve a voice on the international stage.
Thank you. And Jarosław, we have the largest armada since 2003 around Iran. And do you think that Donald Trump can not consult a potential attack with allies?
Yes, he is able to do it. But, Iran this is a very big country. 90 million people living there, and is five times bigger than Poland. If you look the territory of this country, and this is very old civilization. 30 times older than American democracy. And with many differences, with many internal problems, with many religions, with many political issues, etc., etc. So, to attack, you can attack such country, but you are not able to change nothing. You can even complicate more and more the situation in Iran. And we in Europe and all the world needs democratic Iran, which is part of our peace civilization. If Donald Trump will start the war in Iran, he will receive the Nobel Prize of War.
And last question to Waiel, do you think we are closer to the deal or to the military action? Maybe decisions are already taken.
Well, I think we are more closer to the war because, see, till now the Pentagon and the American military are refusing or reluctant to go for a full-fledged war, despite the sophisticated technology they are going, despite the fact that they have put so many bases on target of the Iranian, including the Republic Guard, the installation, the government, name it, and they are already done. But at the end of the day, Iran, as Ambassador said, it is very difficult that it will be in a position to let this go. And there will be a backfire on the American troops in the region, backfire on Israel. And imagine if the Iranian attack the nuclear site of Israeli, the Daimuna. And what would be the radiation happen if that happened? Who will be suffered? The American? It is the people of the region. So I think nobody wants the war in the region, Yaslo, except the United States and Israel.
Let's hope that the war will not start anyway. That's all for Press Talks today. Thank you for watching. Thank you, my fellow colleagues, for joining and for your insights. I'm Jarosław Włodarczyk. Stay well and see you next time. Goodbye.